This is Chicken Ball. Come at us, bro.
Welcome back to Chicken Ball Pod, the worst show on the internet. And while we may be the worst Tottenham podcast out there, we have the illest merchandise. We have face masks. We have Jose Mourinho keychains. We have Tottenham keychains. We have Tottenham non-sponsored Chicken Ball mugs. Get your orders in now. I mean, where other pods statistics and valid opinions and special guests, we buy you with merchandise. Get your merchandise in now. I'm joined today by Mort and by Scott. Lots to talk about, guys. Busy schedule coming up here. Mort, I'm going to pivot to you first. How are you?
Yeah. Man, I'm doing great. Also, I didn't realize we were having like a garage sale of all of your leftover, Spurs merch that you've collected over the years. I'm doing great though, man.
Good. Yeah, no, Vancouver's an expensive city. You got to find a way to make those more.
I love it.
Scott, coming from Seattle, Washington. How's your week going?
It's good, man. Can't complain.
Good stuff. Guys, I'm going to take this off just so people actually verbalize here. Marine FC, 8-tier team, the biggest discrepancy in two teams in the FA Cup at this stage of the game. Starting with you, Mort. Anything you can take from this match? 5-0 score. Anything you can take out of this, or is it just a wash based on the competition? It was kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was fun to watch. I love the camera angles. The guy in the tree is still my favorite. There was literally a dude in a tree the entire first half. That's what you call the FA Cup magic. I think it's worth calling out the lead up to the match. I mean, Marine selling 30,000 virtual tickets at $10 a pop. It's the biggest payday in their club's history. I think the captain came out and said this is going to set them up for the next 15 or 20 years. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah,
Spurs are the best fan base in the world. This just continues to prove it. I think as far as the on pitch, it was great to see Dele out there. Wonderful to see Vinicius out there scoring goals. That's what you want your backup striker to do. That's what he did. I think all in all, it was great, man. I mean, even your boy like Joe Rodon looked really good. So
yeah.
I think that match met all expectations. And I think the cherry on top for me was the quotes about Dele from Jose after the match, right? Like Jose has been very short on compliments for Dele. He was very complimentary of Dele in that match. So that for me is a win.
Yeah, I mean, Gedson Fernandez also started, and I think you called it a swan song, Mort. I mean, I don't think there's much to take out of that. Like, he's on the next plane back to Portugal, probably with Ryan, who never actually told us he wouldn't be on today's show, but that's kind of what you come to expect with this show. Scott, it was nice to see Vinicius score, right? Like, yes, it was obviously an 8th-tier team, but you can only score against who you're playing.
Yeah, man, he played well. He buried, that goal on the line. It's a tough goal to bury. I think a lot of people will miss that, so good to see the clinical nature of Vinicius there. The big one for me is I'm just trying to figure out what the XG was. That's what I live for, right? I die for XG. I don't care about score lines. I don't care about results. I want to see us win the XG category. So I'm still trying to figure out what happened there.
Yeah, XG Cup. And for anybody who does not know Scott personally, Scott is coming to you from his bathroom right now. He is actually a tile and grout salesman.
It is, yeah. So I'm actually in a hotel right now, and my wife has just decided that our scheduled podcast time will be used to for her to FaceTime with a friend. And so I've just gone to the bathroom, and I guess a shit pod, so I'm on the shitter. It's probably fitting.
Yeah, well, I mean, Scott, I'm gonna give you the first fan question. Again, we get these so rarely that we have to call them out when we do. This one's from Brooklyn Yid, and it's in response to the game against Marine. Lucas Moura scoring off that free kick. Despite who we were playing, it was still a really nice free kick. It was still up and over the wall. It was still in the corner. If Lucas is on the field, is he your go-to for the direct free kicks?
I mean, that was a good take, and right now we don't have anybody that's terribly effective from dead balls. I think Dyer maybe can be. But if Lucas can continue to do what he did against Marine, I'm all for him taking free kicks. And I think ultimately we're just at a point now where anybody's going to be better than what we've seen, so I'm all for Lucas getting a few more cracks.
Yeah, we've seen, is it Harvey White, I think, is, apparently when it comes to free kicks, a little off base, but from what I understand, he's actually pretty good. So, that's kind of wash there. Yeah, no, I like that take. I mean, Son's never really hit them all that well. Kane continues to not hit them well, despite everything else he's gotten really, really good at. He's really never actually gotten any better at free kicks. So, when this guy came in, I think we thought, the free kick problem was, but that hasn't happened. If you're not on the field, it's pretty tough to take those free kicks. Anyways, I think that's a good wrap. Obviously, facing Wycombe Wanderers in the next round, and Akindele, I think the guy's name is the guy that is the
Akinfenwa
unit. I think they got promotion to League One, I believe, last year.
Championship.
It was the championship. Okay.
Listen, you don't follow the Wycombe Wanderers. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, we don't get that in Canada.
No, you guys don't get the I Follow channel.
They're a Canadian team.
If you look at last, there's no soccer in Canada. Everybody knows. So I mean, it's a replay, right? So we beat them last time 4-3. It was great. That was a great match. They were up 2-0, and I think they were up 3-2 in the death. And then Sonny came and scored that 95th minute banger. Akinfenwa, that's the big unit. It's actually kind of funny because I completely forgot that match. I mean, it's fucking 3 years ago, right? Dyer was absolutely trash in that match, but he was tiny. Remember, you just joined us, so it would have been kind of fun to see Dyer play now, who I think has come a long way from them. But I think we'll probably get some combination of like Joe Rodon and Sanchez, maybe Tanganga, who's making a comeback, something like that. So I don't think we'll see Dyer, but it'd be kind of fun if Dyer does show up in that match. So we can.
Yeah, I know. I remember that as well. That was pretty bad because I think he was playing center back that day. I don't think he was playing DM, and it did not go well. It required Son saving us like he's done on a few occasions. So guys, we're recording on Tuesday afternoon. Tomorrow we play Fulham, which is actually a rescheduled match from the match that was postponed against Fulham, but now the match against Aston Villa has been postponed. So we've been given the opportunity to play Fulham. It's not too much of a fixture congestion. Obviously, last week with only 2 or 3 hours to spare, or whatever week it was, Mourinho was happy the game was called off, despite Scotty Parker and Fulham knowing they had an issue with the COVID outbreak on their team. Scott Parker comes out today, complains about the lack of time because now the match is on with only a couple of days. Scott, do you have any opinion on that?
It's a tough one. Yeah, it's a tough one because it's Scotty Parker, right? I hate to have any sort of negative opinion around Scotty Parker, but I don't really like him coming out and saying those things, especially because we got totally boned on the first go around on this thing where, I think people are going to say it's a little bit different, right? Because the game was canceled versus one being dropped in your lap, but it certainly wasn't dropped in their lap. I mean, I think they even got heads up Saturday that this might happen. Ultimately, I'll come out and say that when it comes down to health and safety, I'm all for shutting the league down if that's what we need to do. That caveat, being followed by me saying that unfortunately, if Fulham had an outbreak in their squad, unfortunately that's not Tottenham's fault, right? So I really don't have a ton of sympathy for Scott Parker, and that's where I say it's tough to have a negative opinion there because I love Scotty Parker, but I think it's a little bit tone deaf for him to come out and say that given what's happened over the past 2 weeks with this whole deal.
Did you guys get a chance to see Mourinho's comment? They weren't released all that long ago. I don't know if anybody saw that already.
I haven't been on social media for 3 or 4 hours probably.
Well, guys, I've got a nice surprise for you. Guess what? We've got Jose Mourinho to read them to you. Ball Pod Live. Jose, what are your thoughts on the fixture congestion? We played, if I'm not wrong, 11 more matches than Fulham. 11. We played every week, 3 matches a week. We played in 1 week, 4 matches. They played Saturday, QPR in London. Thanks, Jose.
This is the
Jose Mourinho
content I expect. Yeah, no, this is the quality of content you should expect from this shit. No, but I mean, I think to your point, Andrew, I think Jose was pretty vociferous about his disdain for that decision when he was told 3 hours or 2 hours before the last Fulham match they weren't playing. I think the tables have been turned because I think for Fulham, they played a full squad on Sunday in their FA Cup match. I think that's what Scotty's gripe is, that had he known he would have played a lesser side. They played their best 11, so they're going to come in more tired than we are, which is kind of rare this season because like Jose just said, we've played 11 more matches, and we probably have actually. So, but I think Jose's comments that, "Are you kidding me? I only had a 3-hour like window." So no, I don't feel bad for Fulham at all. Yeah, it fucking sucks. It's a global pandemic. Deal with it. Every team has had to deal with it in some capacity. We're dealing with it in ours, and now you have to deal with it in yours. But speaking of that match, though, if we can kind of get into that a little bit, I'm actually nervous for this match, believe it or not. I mean, Fulham they're just not giving up goals like they were. I think the last 4 matches I looked up before this pod, they may have only given up like 1 or 2 goals. They gave up 2 to City a while ago, but remember, they held Liverpool 1-1. And they're on a 4-match like draw streak. So we should not take this for granted. I think these are the kind of teams we struggle with, the teams that don't want to attack, the teams that sit back, that force us to be creative. I think we've seen some cool stuff from Ndombele. I think with having Lamela back available, he can be that creative spark off the bench. But we do not do well against these kinds of teams, right? These are the teams we struggle against, teams that are coming in, trying to go goalless or going for a draw. That's where we struggle. So I am nervous about this match.
Scott, what are you expecting in terms of a line? I mean, the nice thing, obviously, playing a lower level team in a cup game is there is plenty of rest. Kane wasn't even brought to play against Marine. Son didn't come off the bench. What his fitness level is, only played a few minutes. He kind of trotted around the park here and there. But I mean, I assume we're going to have a full lineup. But who do you expect to see? Like, we know who the locked on guys are, but who do you expect to see on the right wing or in defense or in midfield?
Yeah, the right wing is interesting for me. If he's fully fit, I'd go Lamela, just because I think Fulham's a team that if you press the shit out of them, that will make errors, and we can capitalize on those mistakes. So if he's fully fit and ready, I'd go Lamela. Probably isn't though, right? So I do expect him to make more of an appearance off the bench than a starting role. Do we know is Bergwijn fit? I don't think he was involved in the match against Marine. I don't recall him coming off the bench or anything like that. So wouldn't be surprised if Bergwijn gets a start. I really think Jose wants to ride out the experiment with Bergwijn and give him some more opportunities to continue to find his form. And granted, he's missed some chances, and that's what everybody's going to be talking about. But I've said it before, we've all said it, but I think he's looked very good defensively and been a huge piece of what we've done down the right flank. So I'd probably go Bergwijn if I was a betting man. I think in the midfield, you're going to have to see what we always see. It's Højbjerg, it's Sissoko, and it's Tanguy. I think there's a lot of speculation as to whether or not Dele plays. I think he may make an appearance, but I don't think he starts.
There's no speculation, Scotty. You're pulling that shit out of your ass. There's no one's speculating Dele starting. Come on.
Well, there's some reputable news outlets right now that are coming out and saying that they think Dele might start. And then Mourinho even said, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Dele plays, in our next Premier League match, but that certainly doesn't mean he starts, right? So
Jose said that, or did you just pull that quote?
He did say that in his last press conference. Yeah, I mean, it's a fair question to ask me if I'm pulling something out of my ass, but he was asked, about Dele's performance, and he said, don't be surprised if Dele plays against Fulham. So
I totally missed that. Wow,
yeah,
awesome.
but we don't know what that means, right? So I would still go with Højbjerg, Sissoko, and Tanguy. Don't fix what's not broken, right? Those 3 have been solid, and anybody that thinks Tanguy should be playing deeper instead of Sissoko, I think they're off the rocker, man, because Sissoko has been very good for us in that role. He's very good off the ball.
Let me actually ask you a question, Scotty. Would you advocate for Højbjerg, Dele, and Ndombele midfield and sit Sissoko? Would you do that?
I don't really like Tanguy deep. And I think if you do that, Tanguy's going to have to sit a little bit deeper. I mean, I think he can do it. I just don't think I think for a couple of reasons. I think one, if he is as physically taxed as everyone thinks he is, and it appears that he is, after 60, 70 minutes, I don't like the concept of him having to be, a little bit more active. Sissoko covers a lot of ground. That's really what he does in that role. He protects Højbjerg, so he can protect the back line, I think, is what Sissoko really does. So I think we lose that. I'm not sure that Tanguy has the stamina to do that. I think Tanguy's been very good in that pseudo 10 role. It's not quite a 10 the way we play, but I think he's been very effective there. And I think, as we're looking to counter, I think he's a little bit more effective where he is now than sitting deeper. So I wouldn't do it. I mean, if it came out that way, I wouldn't be upset, right? I trust Jose. think everyone should at this point, right? He's proven himself extremely capable. But no, I would prefer to see the Hojbjerg, Sissoko, Tanguy pivot, and of course I'm biased to Sissoko, right? I can't beat around the bush there, but like I said, I wouldn't fix what isn't broken.
Mort, you brought up a good point, because Ryan and I don't know where Ryan is. He just doesn't respond. But you brought up a good point, though, regarding Dele in the midfield, because the game against Marine, again, I know we throw a lot out, but he was playing in a deeper midfield role. He constantly had the ball. He did some good things in the final third. And when he came to Spurs, he was a box-to-box midfielder, right? Like, he wasn't a deep midfielder, but he was a central midfielder. He wasn't playing striker. And so, I think Ryan had said, for what it's worth, which probably isn't much, that, maybe it was a trial to see, like, could he play that position? Now, we all know he's not going to get that kind of time on the ball, but do you think Dele needs to adapt his game to play more of a central midfield role if he wants to be a part of this team?
I mean, I don't see a reason why he cannot play like the Mueller role, right? Like somebody who's a goal-scoring threat, but ultimately he is coming out of that central midfield, and sometimes he lines up on the wing, sometimes he lines up in the attack, but he gives you that ability to have 4 attackers or 3 attackers. I think he can do that, but I think you're totally right. If you go back to his MK Dons days, he was playing a central midfielder. That's what he played a central midfielder for us when we first started playing him. He evolved into that, playing off a Kane role that found so much success. But I mean, I think you make a really, really good point. It's, if that's where he goes, can Jose mold him into that, which I think would be just incredible, because Dele can be creative, but he's too hesitant on the ball, and we are a counter-attacking team. We cannot afford to be hesitant on the ball. I think against Stoke, the criticism that he made of Dele is, Dele had the ball at his feet. Instead of bringing other players in, he was thinking about doing something clever and creative. So I think that's where there's this conflict where we want Dele to play more in midfield. In midfield, he has to be more methodical on the ball. He is not methodical. We don't want him to be methodical. We want him to be quick. Like, how quickly does Ndombele get rid of the ball when it's at his feet? I mean, the ball is out like that. Yeah. That's what you need in our current tactics. Now, I'll be the first one to say this. I think we are becoming one-dimensional, like we did under Pochettino, right? Like, people knew how to stop us. It feels a bit like we're going in that direction. I think guys like Lamela and a reformed Dele can give us that second option. And I think playing Dele, that's why I was asking you, Scotty, if you'd be okay with lining up, like Tanguy, like Dele, and then also Hojbjerg. But what about resting Ndombele completely? Sissoko, Hojbjerg, Dele. So if we can get Dele to think and play like that, but the thing is, he has to be quicker on the ball. His decision-making has to be faster. He's hella clever.
Yeah. No, sorry, man. I don't mean to cut you off, but I think you bring up an excellent point here, because obviously everybody's raving about Dele's performance. And we know it was Marine, but he just had so much time on the ball, and he's never going to get that kind of time on the ball ever again. And I think that's what
No, but Scotty, if he's in central midfield, he can, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of teams aren't pressing you in midfield. They're going to start pressing. Like, when he gets in the final third, he's not going to get that kind of time. I totally agree. But can we get Dele the ball a little bit deeper and let him build out of that midfield and let him get some time, for his first pass?
No, it's a good point, man. I won't even necessarily disagree or counter, but I think I will say more so probably what I mean by him having time on the ball was Marine defenders just had no fucking clue what they were doing. Like, they were. It's not even the press that I'm talking about. It's that they literally were just looking around like, where am I supposed to be right now? And Dele just had so much time on the ball to just like observe, scan. Okay, that's the right ball. Yeah. And that's tough to find that kind of time, no matter where you're at. I think against Premier League competition. But again, I do think your point stands. If he's a little bit deeper, he will be afforded a couple more seconds, even like fractions of a second, which go a long way for a professional athlete. So yeah, it's a good point, and I think more so than Tanguy deep, I would love to see us develop Dele into that person. I think a lot of people are talking about Tanguy deep. Can he play deep? I'm sure he can, but I just don't see why we would do that. He's been so good where he is. But Dele, maybe. I think if anybody can get him reformed and adjusted, it's Mourinho. And I'm happy to see Mourinho giving him chances and saying things that make me think he's invested in trying to figure it out with Dele. So.
Yeah. I don't think, you hear all the rumors, about Dele being sold, loaned, whatever it is. I really don't buy into that in terms of what Mourinho thinks. Again, we've all seen the Amazon special on Spurs. Like the first thing he did, he came in, he tried to pump his tires, he tried to talk.
Yeah.
That didn't really work, but he's on record of saying the one thing Alex Ferguson told me was buy Dele Alli. Like he didn't say that lightly. Like he knows there's something there. I mean, it's our downturn in Dele the last couple of years. I hate to think that injuries have ruined a guy's career at the age of 23, but I mean I don't know what else it is. I mean he's always been athletic. It's not like he's been he's not a speed demon. He's not Michael Owen, right? That when he's lost his step, or Fernando Torres, that he doesn't have that side of his game anymore. Like that was never what did it. It was hard.
Yeah.
His ability to keep running. It wasn't necessarily the fastest guy on the pitch, but he covered every blade of grass. We talked about it on on previous shows a couple of years back, that he covered the whole field. Like it just doesn't feel like that. Like now it looks like he's struggling, and I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's a lack of motivation or if it is, if the injuries really have done him in. Like I don't even have a question. Like it's just
well, I might mention too that I think Dele's best years under Poch, he almost lined up like out off to the left fairly often, and I do think in those positions you have a little bit more time on the ball. You also have an opportunity to breathe a little bit and find space to move into. We don't really play that way anymore. Under Mourinho, if you're going to play wide, you're going to be like a winger, and Dele's certainly not a winger. He was like that inverted attacking midfielder under Poch, so I think that's some of why he was so good, is just the way we played. Part of me sits and I'm thinking, like, on the spot, thoughts are running through my head here. Like, was it Eriksen, that allowed Dele to be so effective? Was it the way Poch set up? Was it the fact that we always had the ball and just press? Because Dele was very good at pressing, I think. Him and Lamela and Sonny, not so much Eriksen, but those three press really well under Poch. So I think there's a lot that goes into it, other than like Dele specifically. I think a lot of things that were happening around him play into why he's dipped in form so much.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point. Christian Eriksen obviously being on the end of his passes when he was in, obviously were a big thing. But, Kane's figured it out. Kane didn't need Christian Eriksen to be a goal threat. And again, we look at a guy like Lamela, take everything out with the injuries and everything else. He does so many of the intangibles that you look at and criticize him for being lazy or not putting in a shift. Like, is it frustrating when he runs the ball 20 yards and then makes the wrong decision? Yes, it is. But people love effort. Like, you forgive that kind of stuff when you see him chasing like a psychopath down the wing to get the ball back. You never have to worry about him not putting in a shift. And like, you don't see that with Dele Alli. Anyways, I want to move on to, transfer window. I want to kind of combine a couple of topics here. So again, about 2 months for me to finally get this guy's jersey to arrive at my door. And it's, things were better before, I bought the jersey, and so now maybe I'll get a name, but, Mort, we talked about this, I think, back in December, and I think you had a great point where you said, but what's better than, the last third of the season, having a healthy, fit Gareth Bale. So, but I have to ask the question, because it's coming up, at what point is the break-even point where we say, maybe this isn't going the way we want it to, right? Like, at what point do we kind of look and say, again, like, it was a loan move. It's not like we spent, 80 million pounds or anything like that. But at what point do you look at this and be like, yeah, this just didn't really go the way we thought it would?
It really depends. I think it's a very personal question, because it depends on what your expectations were of Gareth Bale. Mine were never that high. I mean, the guy hasn't played competitive football. I mean, he's not played regular competitive football in almost 2 years before coming to us. So we knew, it's going to take months and months. I mean, their bodies are machines. You got a rusted up machine for 2 years. It's going to take you months to fix it. And that's what we saw, right? I mean, a slight tweak is out for 3 weeks, right? And that's exactly what Jose said. So my expectations weren't that high. My expectations of him have already been met, because my expectations were very intangible. What happens when you bring a 4-time Champions League winner into your squad? And you know how we know it made a difference? Because the players all fucking said it made a difference, right? Multiple players have come out and said, oh my God, it's incredible having him in the clubhouse. The stories he tells, the way he thinks, the way he's able to talk about tactics, and the way he's able to execute in training. That's what I wanted him to do, and that's what he's doing. Now, with that said, I think he's got 3 or 4 goals, but he's got 5 goals across all comps for us, maybe something like that. Maybe someone can fact check me. That's again pretty decent, right? I mean, if you get a guy who can give you 7 to 10 goals across all comps, who's in and alone, I will again take that all day. What I would love to see, and I did a little bit of cheating, I was looking at our fixture list as the season winds down. We've got a pretty tough stretch coming up, right? Well, we've got like Fulham and Sheffield, who got their first win. So congrats, Sheffield. But then we've got Liverpool, Then we get a week off at Brighton. Then we've got Chelsea. Then we get a week off at West Brom. Then we got City. So we've got this really tough stretch coming up. When we come out of that, now that's mid-February. We're going to drop some points there. When you look at the rest of the season, we've got Arsenal once. We've got Man United once. We've got a depleted Everton. We've got City, who we already beat. And we've got Leicester and Villa. What I wouldn't give to have Gareth Bale in form by mid to end of February and help us in that last 2 months go get those wins, because man, will we be in a great spot to get top 4, get Champions League football. And at that point in time, we're playing in the League Cup final. We should be advancing deep in the FA Cup tournament. We'll be advancing deep in Europa. We're going to be in the cusp of top 4. I would love for us to just keep easing him in over the next 2 months, and come end of February, just unleash the beast and let him for 2 months contribute in a meaningful way. And for me, again, contribute just means 4 to 5 goals in the league and maybe 2 to 3 assists. That's all remember. We have the most potent 2 players in the entire world right now. We're not going to take goals away from Kane and Sonny. Anything that does that is stupid. We need that third goal scorer, something from Bergwijn, something from Ndombele, something from Lamela, something from Lucas, something from Bale. If any combination of those 5 guys can start to produce goals for us in that final stretch of the season, we are going to be fucking cherry.
All right, so Mort holding out hope makes sense. Scott, I'm not going to lie. When I saw the re-signing, I was pretty giddy about it, thinking, Bale's son Kane, this is going to be the greatest thing ever. Obviously being of Welsh descent, following the actual Welsh team, which not many people do, probably outside of Wales, and knowing, what he does there. So I'd be lying if I'd said I'm not disappointed at this point. It doesn't mean that I'm hopeless. And again, we've seen, whether it's, the kind of funny videos that Tottenham puts out, he's a well-liked player. And I had a couple of buddies asking, is the attitude a thing? I said, I honestly don't think he has an attitude. I think he was despondent at Real Madrid. I think he's perfectly happy being back at Spurs. I don't think he's complaining about his playing time. Like Mourinho said, he will play more when he can come out of a match without some kind of niggling injury, right? And so, Scott, same question to you. What are your expectations now going forward with this player?
Honestly, it's like a cop-out, but I feel like I don't even really have any. I'll be happy to see him get minutes when he does, and beyond that, I'm so all in on Jose that I'm just going to keep going back to whatever Jose does. I think is the right call right now. But I think I will kind of agree with Mort. I don't want to say piggyback because I'm pretty much just going to repeat him. But I think that the biggest thing is that we brought him in for that winning mentality, and right now, good chance we win the League Cup. Mourinho's not going to lose finals very often or easily. Like Mort said, we're going to go deep in Europa. Every reason to think we will. FA Cup looks good with our next draw, and we're 7 points off the top with a game in hand. Every reason to think we'll be 4 points off the top tomorrow with half the season left to play. So, if he was brought in to instill a winning mentality, then job done, right? I think we've never been this well off in a season ever, or at least in the Premier League era, in all 4 competitions, and well in all 4 competitions that we're in, one of them being a European competition. So it almost goes back to this whole nonsense around this anti-Jose agenda, and we're not playing good enough football. Is Jose in or out? If somebody asks me, is Jose in or out, I'm just mind fucked by that question. What? That is probably the dumbest question that you could ask at the moment. And so for me, to tie it all back to Gareth Bale, if he came in to supplement Jose and my boy Joe Hart on that winning mentality, then job well done, right?
Yeah, fair enough. And it sounds like you were quoting Bennett there, criticizing Jose and, asking if he's in or out, but that's neither here nor there. Scott, sticking with you, and I know you don't like to prepare.
Love you, Bennett.
This might be a misguided question about the transfer window, which is open as we speak right now. Everybody has their wishes, their wants, their dreams, but, reality obviously has to come into play here. So simple question for you. Do you expect any ingoings or outgoings?
I don't think so, to be honest. I think if we bring anybody in, it's going to be out of left field, and they're going to have to be homegrown unless we shift some people out. We saw the rumor that Winks maybe is going to be loaned to Valencia. Mourinho came out and said immediately not happening, and squashed that rumor real quickly. So I really don't think that we're going to see anything happen, and I think I'm okay with that.
More, you're a realistic guy, and so I wouldn't expect you to think that there's anything major, in the wings. But I'll ask you kind of a dream state question: like, is there anybody that you'd like to bring in, or a position you'd like to fill,
Yeah.
right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think like Sabitzer, right? That's someone we've been linked with. Now I'm reading these dumb articles saying that he's not signing a new contract because he wants to play for us. I would love that kind of a player in January. It ain't gonna happen. But like pie in the sky, yeah, absolutely. That's the kind of player you want. That's your third goal scorer, right? You need that. Who's our third goal scorer? Someone like that would be amazing. I've kind of given up on the whole like defense center back piece of it. I still want one maybe next summer, but I don't think even in January. But I think we're going to need that goal scorer. If he's the one, that's great. Outbound, maybe we see Harry Winks go out on loan. We haven't talked about him much. He didn't play against Marine. You thought he would. I've got a weird feeling he might actually play tomorrow because it doesn't make any sense for him not even to make the bench. Or maybe he's out, maybe he's being, like put up, kept healthy to go out on loan. I can see him go out on loan. I think that'd be very good for him as well, especially with the Euros coming. And I know he wants to get some minutes. So besides that, honestly, like reasonably, if we see something, it won't be very meaningful, won't be very impactful.
Is this the window that we finally sign Gareth Bale?
No, this is not. I think we're gonna send back Jedson and we're gonna hold on to Bale. I mean, remember the tattoo was all based on signing Bale, so it never really happened. So
yeah, there is fine print.
Of course,
that's fair.
Asterisk everything, man. Asterisk everything.
That's fair.
Right. Last question on the show, guys. So through to the final of the League Cup, as we were on the last show against Manchester City, not being played until April, long way off. Starting with you, Scott. Is it meaningful to win the League Cup?
Absolutely. It's crucial. I think it's a shit trophy, a shit competition, but like we need a trophy so badly, and when I say we need a trophy, like it's not for me, it's for everyone else out there that just chats and chats and chats and chats. And I think, and I mean, like Tottenham fans like you, Mort, who want the trophy. I get that. I think I'm just so sick and tired of the rest of the world and they're like, their trophy agenda, blah, blah, blah. I also think the players are affected by the fact that we haven't been able to get over the line. So we got to get the trophy as quickly as possible. The only problem for me is that like it would be more meaningful if that final was in March like it typically is, because I think that would allow us to springboard ourselves to bigger and better things like this season. Get the monkey off your back 3/4 of the way through the season and then march on to some real accolades. And unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. I think by the time we're competing for the League Cup final, we maybe have already an opportunity. I can't remember exactly, but either in other finals or maybe even have like wrapped up, a hypothetical trophy if we were going to say that, So, a little bit of a bummer that we're not going to have the opportunity to get that trophy monkey off our back before the season's over, but so be it.
Yeah, more same question.
Yeah, no, I mean the League Cup finals are normally in February, and I think to your point, Scotty, yeah, it'd be awesome to kind of springboard the rest of your season. We're not going to get that, but we have to win this. We're not, Scotty, you say it's a shit trophy, shit tournament. Not for us, it's not, because we never last time we won a trophy was 13. You know what's so bizarre, man? I still remember exactly where I was, who I was watching the match with, and how we won. I remember all of it. Why? Because it was a final and we won it. I remember more of the 2008 final that we won than I do of the 2019 final that we lost. Right? So for me, it's you play to win the fucking game. Like you don't play to participate. All this shit about how does it make you feel? Winning makes me feel good. Doing well doesn't, So for us, I think it's so important, so meaningful. Can you just imagine Harry Kane lifting a trophy for this club? Do you think I give a fuck what trophy it is? Do you think people are even going to know when he's holding the picture of it? No one's going to know. He deserves it. Our players have earned this. And for Jose to deliver it, I think it's vindication for Levy signing him. But more importantly, I want it for the fans that have been supporting this club and not seeing anything come through our doors for 13 years.
Yeah.
I want to see it for the players who haven't left. These guys all have the ability to, so many, Like Hugo, Kane, Sonny, these are all talented players. Toby, they could have left to go places to win. They didn't. They stayed with us. Let's get them this fucking hardware.
Yeah.
I don't care what it's called. Call it whatever the fuck you want. Give it to us. Let us earn this. We deserve this from fans, players, and I think even Don Levy, finally going out there and investing in Jose, investing in the players. And I think that's the important thing. Anybody saying that this is beneath us or this will never match the feeling of Amsterdam, fuck you. Amsterdam was a semifinal. Great. If we would have won that game 3-0 without the last minute bullshit, nobody would care about Amsterdam. Nobody gives a fuck about Amsterdam. They care about the fact that we scored the goals the way we did. That's why you have the emotion. It has nothing to do with it being a Champions League semifinal. It has everything to do with the manner in which it happened. I remember Gylfi Sigurdsson scoring a goal against, Swansea maybe in like the 93rd minute because we got him from there. And I was losing my shit like it was the greatest Tottenham match of all time because we scored in the death. Yeah. Wickham Wanderers, Sonny scored in the 97th minute. That emotion was unbelievable. Did I give a fuck about that match? No. Same thing here. People get so caught up on Amsterdam. It's the manner in which it happened. Nothing to do with being in the semifinals of a Champions League. So I want us to win this. So it's on the 25th. I'm in Wisconsin. It's a bit cold. We're going to actually have a backyard viewing party, right? So because of COVID, we're not going to go to any bars or anything. We would love to go to our home pub, get all 250 of us there and go ape shit. But we're not. We're going to be responsible. So I'm going to set up my TV in the backyard. We're going to have friends come over, and I cannot fucking wait to win this thing so I can bust a bottle of champagne.
Yep.
Blast it.
Well, and the thing is, if it's a cup that doesn't matter, then why does Pep Guardiola keep winning it?
Exactly.
He's pretty good. He's won a couple of things. He obviously places value. I'm not saying they don't do any rotation, but like the fact that they keep winning it and keep getting to the final obviously shows that it does have meaning. Like I'm not 100% certain, but I'm pretty certain that first trophy that Kyle Walker won when he left Spurs was the League Cup. Like, do you think
exactly
right? Yeah. Like that obviously did. Like obviously he went on to win, bigger trophies as well. But to say that it's meaningless again, like you do need to win something, guys. This has been a pretty good to mediocre show. Like last get is a quote from our special guest Jose coming in here. Jose, how was your time here? Do I enjoy being here with Mort and Scott and Andrew? No.
Thanks, Jose.
Thanks, Jose. Yeah, it was a pleasure having you guys. If you haven't already followed us, follow us on just Chicken Ball Pod, I think. Chicken Ball Pod, like I said, guys, like you're probably Mort's taking calls for sponsorship. Your logo right up here.
Let's go.
Yeah. Scott, get on those sales calls. All right,
for Mort,
for Jose, I'm Andrew. This has been the Chicken Ball Pod. Game against Fulham tomorrow. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.